r/ask Reddit. Men who are in relationships. What small considerate things did your so do that you'll remember forever? I woke up one morning with her hand on my chest and head on my shoulder. She said she was having a hard time mentally and that I was her comfort. Honestly, I just felt warm waking up that way. I don't think she really thought much about it, but it made my whole month. And still makes me happy to think about it. We had an appointment to induce the birth of our first daughter bright and early at 6 AM. We park in the hospital garage. Very pregnant wife goes to get something out of the trunk. I figure it's our overnight bag. Nope. It was a Superman themed gift bag with Superdad written on it. In it were puzzles, little games, a couple of books I'd been looking at the library, and multiple peanut butter Twix. My favorite candy. To have taken the time to take care of me at the hospital when she was about to go through the forthcoming ordeal. And it was. They finally gave up and did a C-section at 11:35 PM. Did I mention we induced at 6 AM? Is something I can never forget. Red heart. She took care of me after knee surgery. We were only dating for a couple months, but she did everything for me. She wanted to help me see she cared about me. Married with 2 kids 13 years later. My wife literally quit her job to help me recover from a full knee reconstruction. We had been in a rough patch and I wasn't sure we were going to last. We had 6 months together all day every day. She never once made me feel bad for not being able to walk or stand and did everything for my 2 kids and walked the dog. That 6 months together without one argument made me realize the toxicity that had plagued our relationship for almost 10 years was gone and that I was probably holding on to things I should have let go of. A year later, our marriage is by far the strongest it has ever been and I have never been so happy. Too long didn't read I love my wife. Writes me love notes and leaves them on the counter for me to find. She still does this after being married many years. When she snuggles up to me, she is very comfortable to hold. Currently have my wife snuggled on me snoozing with my pup. A perfect way to spend a rainy Saturday afternoon. If someone said think of your happy place, this is it. She calls me handsome like it's my name. Never really thought about how much I love it until I read this thread. She's just her TBH. The way she looks at me, rolls over to cuddle in the morning, asks me if I need anything when she goes in the kitchen or out to a store. Things like that. She's actually kind of perfect. LOL. Awesome. Backhead massage without asking. She is a singer and has a great voice, so sometimes she used to sing me into sleep or just read some tales until I was asleep. Don't know why, but that relaxed me a lot. Probably took me back to my childhood. It's always the small things that I enjoy the most. One of the things that made me decide that I was going to marry my wife was incredibly small, but I loved it. One day I was in the garage working on my car and something wasn't going as I had planned. I don't remember what I was doing, but it was a struggle and I was getting frustrated. Like most guys who are frustrated while holding tools, I was banging shit and cursing and just generally being loud and obnoxious. Without a word, she came out with a sandwich and handed it to me. She said that it sounded like I was having a rough time, that I've been out here for a while and she thought I would like a small snack break. Just the fact that she heard the frustration and tried to help the best way that she could made me realize she was thinking about me and wanted to try to make me happy even when we were apart doing our own thing. It was super small, but it meant the world to me at that moment. It calmed me down immediately and I was able to get the problem fixed almost immediately after. I have a memory box of all these super cute love letters and notes that my partner used to write me before work. She'd slip them into my laptop or whatever so I'd find them. She'd draw pictures of us or of animals doing silly things. She doesn't do it anymore, which is fine, but I'll keep them forever. Edit. I have a whiteboard in my office and she often draws pictures of things on it. That's another good one. She truly pays attention to our conversations, more than anyone else has. It's amazing how much of an impact it has in understanding each other. She remembers everything to such a degree, she can almost read my mind. She used to run towards me whenever we met and jump on me. Okay Peter, we all know you miss Hannah B. Over the course of the relationship I had casually mentioned a lot of stuff, like how my favorite candy bar was Coffee Crisp or how when I was a kid my first soda was one I got trick or treating. An orange crush. When Halloween arrived, I woke up to find a coffee crisp and an orange crush with a note that said Happy Halloween. I was surprised she remembered, and I'll never forget that little gesture. Every once in a while, if I'm out with my friends at a bar, my so will Venmo a few buck with the caption "the next drink's on me." It's not really about the money, it's just such a cute, thoughtful gesture, and I love knowing that she wants me to go out there and have a great time even if she's not around. She's the best. We went hiking, found a cool river and saw a wild otter. She got so excited she turned around and said, "I love you," and jumped in my arms. This was before we said that to each other. I regret not saying it back at that moment, but we're happily still together. What did you say? Oh, thank you. My so and I are both child sexual abuse survivors. I was abused by a dude and used to feel really uncomfortable with my masculinity. It was something I wasn't really aware of since it had been my whole life. Ever since coming to understand that about me, she has made sure to tell me how much she loves my masculinity, how manly she thinks I am, and how safe and good I make her feel. All the time, multiple times a week. For many years now. It's changed my entire life and perception of myself. I used to low-key despise men, and myself worst of all. Now I love being a man. It's my greatest pleasure in life that I can protect her and cherish her, and make someone who went through what she did as a kid feel safe and comfortable. I used to have a girlfriend who would sing to me when we were alone. She had an amazing voice. She also used to sing happy birthday on the phone for my grandma. This is dumb, but my GF likes doing my nails once a week for me, and TBH I like it. She pushed back the skin on the nail or whatever and files the corners and is super gentle the whole time. IDK LOL, it's super relaxing. Before we started dating, we got drunk one night and she made a presentation saying 5 reasons you should date me. Beach. I eventually found myself falling in love with her. This was an ex I really think I took for granted. Didn't know what I had until it was gone, but actually listened to things I ramble on about. I'm a technical researcher and just know how to move around the internet. I'm very good at tracking down deals and discounts in convoluted ways. I'd casually explain little techniques, not expecting anyone to listen, because no one does. But she did. Once booked a holiday for my birthday. Everything first class. I thought she'd spend a fortune, but told me she did what I do and saved loads. Actually felt guilty for not spending enough. My jaw dropped at that point. Since then, I haven't found anyone quite like that. It's still the best gift I've ever gotten. I had a mug from a church that I used to go to, and I had so many great memories of this place, and absolutely cherished this mug, and had it for years. I ended up dropping it when it was wet and I broke it, and was devastated, and quite down for a couple days. My girlfriend, unknown to me, took the mug, found a graphic designer to recreate the graphic on it, and then had it specially made for me, and presented it to me on my birthday. I was blown away. I think it's the most thoughtful thing anyone has ever done for me. I saw her hold and snuggle her 1YO nephew until he fell asleep on her shoulder. That locked it in for me that he would become our nephew. Out of a toxic 10-year marriage. Started dating, and this girl is just wonderful. She does tiny little things which I've never had before, which genuinely make me emotional thinking about it. She talks to me, is interested in what I have to say, makes me a cup of tea, is affectionate and complimentary, seems happy to see me, accepts me for who I am. I reciprocate all of this to BTW. She just values me and makes me feel wanted. I've never had that before, and it's just incredible. She's a morning person, me not so much. I once told her about how I left a dog treat right next to my dog's nose when she was sleeping to see how long it would take her to notice. Since then, my girlfriend often makes me a cup of coffee and hovers it next to my nose so the fumes get to my brain. God damn, that shit shoots me awake so fast. Forget to wake her up after her nap and do whatever she wanted to be woken up for. It's okay, babe. I went out for drinks with Janice. News is that Tiffany is a bitch and that Carl doesn't deserve her. Me and my so were dating for a year at this point. My grandfather was like a father to me, and when he passed away I wrote a reading. He was buried in one of those places with the stacked mausoleums, and the funeral services were held in one of the buildings on site. I left my speech in the car for some reason, thinking that I wasn't going to need it until later. The priest at one point says, "Now if anyone has something they would like to say, you may come up now." And I felt very disappointed because I thought I wasn't going to get the chance. But my girlfriend immediately looked at me and then instinctively got up to run to the car and grab my reading. Only one other person had prepared something, so they had gotten up to read it, and my so came back just as they were finishing, and I was able to read mine. She is wonderful and a genuinely considerate person. My girlfriend and I are in a long distance relationship. Money is very tight for me, so I can't go buy the food I want. I have to buy the cheapest stuff, rarely any snacks. Last semester she sent me a care package full of my favorite snacks and food. It's something small that meant a lot to me. For me, it was when she bought me a stuffed llama for Valentine's Day. She was and still is the only girl to ever do that for me. For her it was nothing, but for me it meant so much. It's not a small thing. Upon learning I was a dry alcoholic, she stopped drinking as well out of solidarity, not only when I was around, but also when she was out with friends. I didn't ask for it and I felt kinda guilty for a while. But that little gesture gave me so much confidence. I have a partner in crime who also never drinks, and I think we're more fun at parties that way. Edit. Guys, stop it. You're making me blush, and the missus is not even home to appreciate it. Whenever I get home, her eyes and smile light up. She will say, "My darling, stop whatever she is doing and come kiss and embrace me." She will then just resume whatever she was doing. Not in a relationship, but a female friend who I dated for a while. We were in the process of realizing we wouldn't be anything more than just friends. She sent me a very long and detailed text about the things she liked about me. There were a few points about my looks and voice, which was cool. All the rest was about my mind, my mannerisms, my parenting, work ethic, the way I treat her and others, how I handle negativity, etc. It really made me feel good as a man that someone sees that much good in me. Probably gonna get buried since this post has already taken off, but she works at a restaurant that has this excellent Vietnamese coffee, and she'll sometimes take a cup home for me, because she knows I love it. We've been together for 6 years and I still find myself falling in love with her all over again. So this was an ex, and is an ex for a good reason, but this is something that, at the time, made my jaw hit the floor, and is something I hope to maybe find again in someone. Now I'm a very passionate person. I can ramble about something I care about for literal hours, and she would just sit there and listen, fully engaged. I always try to avoid rambling because I feel like I'm hogging the conversation and likely being annoying. But she enjoyed my ramblings and even called them cute. Shame things turned out the way they did. Edit. Okay, so this got way more upvotes than I expected. So I wanna try and use this opportunity. If you look in the replies, you'll find out the reason for our breakup was related to mental health. To anyone reading this, you are not responsible for someone else's happiness or mental health. The best you can do is point them in the right direction for help. You should not sacrifice your own mental health, happiness or well-being for the sake of someone who is, for lack of a better term, toxic to your life. PLS, look after yourselves. When you live with someone, you start to take these little gestures for granted. My wife's lived abroad due to visa troubles for a few months, so I'm starting to recognize them all again. She'll bring me a plate for cheese and crackers while I'm working, or cuddle in next to me with a glass of wine. No grand gestures, but just small things that, now that I don't have that in my life, for now at least, it's a real reminder of how special and important they are to me. She was in USA and I in the UK. We would talk at night, and if I started to nod off, she would stay on the phone and make sure I went to sleep okay. If even sometimes wake up to her still there. FFS, she was a good one. Didn't dump me when I did something stupid that I went to jail for. That was 22 years ago and we've been married for 20 years. Touch me and wants physical contact with me, not even in the sexual way. Edited. Physics context is cool too though. When I get home every day we hug for like 10 seconds. I love just holding her. She will come up and give me a back rub randomly, often when I'm on my computer gaming. She will scratch my scalp and back and anywhere else I want scratched. It puts her to sleep though, as I ask for one when we're in bed and within a few minutes she's out. We'll cuddle on our couch or bed and we both just rub on each other, sexual and non-sexual. I don't know if I could be with a woman who didn't absolutely love to touch me. My now ex at the time noticed I was always getting sunburned. This was while we were still in high school, and since I was a broke student it was the least of my worries. She asked why I never used sun cream. I explained that I got really bad acne breakouts when I used sun cream. I've had a history with really bad acne. The following day she said she got a surprise for me, told me to close my eyes and gave me an entire tub of sun cream specifically for acne prone skin. I didn't realize she had paid attention to what I had said the day before, and I honestly almost broke down in tears just because, for once, someone listened to what I said candidly and acted on it. Man, just the other day when I said I was having kinda an icky day, she immediately drove over and brought me some Chinese food with my exact order. It was snowing outside and she stood there waiting for me to open the door while I got dressed. Man, I love this girl. Maybe not small because it took a lot of time, of which he has little, but I need to gush because I'm still totally floored by it. We're both very busy, me in school, 38M, and him, 44M, traveling frequently for work, and we don't live together. For Valentine's Day, he hands me a card and a cookbook I wanted. So cool, right? Then he hands me this box like the one that held a Commedia dell'arte mask from his hometown. I figured it was just one for my own house, but I was wrong. Inside were 38 cards, hand decorated and handwritten with one line each telling me something he loves about me. Some made me laugh, some made me blush, some made me cry, but all of them, it was like that scene in Amélie when she leads the blind man to the train station. Nobody has ever made me cry out of shock and happiness like this before, and there's no possible way I can ever top this gift. We're still a new couple, so who knows what the future holds. But he's totally ruined me for other men with this. I spent the past 10 years figuring I'd never fall in love again, but all the shitty baggage from my past has been shed for a long time now, and I'm incredibly lucky to have found this guy at this point in my life. Got me a Nerf gun for Valentine's Day. I was 36 and she was 35. Honestly, complimented how I smelled. Whenever I cook for us, she would take a picture of the plate I made and show her friends on Snap. She barely ever uses Snapchat, but will to show her friends she's eating good. Somewhere in my conscience, there's a tiny me in there giving a Tiger Woods fist pump yelling I'm the best boyfriend ever LOL. She took a screenshot of my favorite song's audio wave and made a poster out of it. Duck, I'm so single. Bright side, you now have a good idea about the type of care you should look for and reciprocate in a future relationship. I had told her that I would come over after work so we can play video games. I ended having to work much later than expected, but she still wanted me to come over. She knew I was going to be bummed cause of work, so she cooked my favorite meal and set the table all romantic. Before we sat down, she put something on my head and said the king needs his crown. She made crowns for the both of us. I love her TT. This is probably going to get buried, but I wanted to share this. Some background. I do almost all the cooking in our house and I'm very particular about having a clean kitchen. On Valentine's Day, she completely ruined my plans of cooking her a meal we rarely indulge in. She reached out to my mom and learned how to make one of my favorite dishes from childhood and surprised me with it when I got home from work. It was damn near perfect, which is even more impressive since we're both of different ethnic backgrounds. The icing on the cake was that she left the kitchen spotless. It was the first time she'd ever cooked for me, and in the past, no one had ever thought to call my mom and find out how to make a childhood favorite. Hands down the most thoughtful thing a girlfriend has ever done for me. She was into F1. I was into F1. She knew my dad was into it. I grew up in the late 80s and through the 90s watching Nigel Mansell and Alain Prost and Senna and Damon Hill and Alesi etc etc. So she bought us 2 tickets, for my dad and me as a Christmas gift, to a day at Silverstone. Virgin Media Experience VIP passes on the Brooklands corner if I remember right, near the old start-finish straight, during a classic F1 day. Saw cars from as far back as the 50s era racing around track by enthusiasts and the odd old driver. Millions of pounds worth of cars. Each race was a newer class, up to the 80s or so. Just loud, classic engines roaring past. It was fantastic. Turns out she cheated on me that weekend while I was away. But hell, racing, noise, the smells those cars give off isn't one you get these days. Got to stand in the pit lane and lean over between the fencing onto the old start finish. It was so cool. As a racing lover, it was standing on history for the first time for me. We were taking a walk, and I told her I'd forgotten something at the movie theater where I worked. What I'd actually done was found her favorite movie, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and had it ready to go. Her favorite album was playing over the sound system when we walked in, and I had a note written just for her displayed on the screen. I'd also placed chocolate hearts on the seat arm at the end of each row leading to her favorite spot in the middle. Just seeing the look on her face as she discovered each thing was incredible. Downside, I never topped myself after that. LOL. Just as a preemptive note, I got permission to do this from the owner. Bought me a balloon on day. I spent years wasting time with someone who never thought that what I had was enough. I would buy pearls and still get in trouble. Scratches the inside of my forearms with her nails. It feels so ducking good. Damn. I need to be more considerate to my so. Trust me. Bro, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content. It's free and that's a great price.